Just as I was about to say yes to Chris, the senior who had just confessed his feelings to me, my childhood best friend Justin, appeared out of nowhere and dragged me away. He gripped my wrist, a mocking smile playing on his lips as he demanded, "Are you serious right now? Then what am I?" "My brother," I replied flatly. His smile turned wicked, his tone suddenly aggressive. "You sure didn't call me brother when we were sleeping together." I honestly couldn't understand his sudden, unprovoked anger. After all, 4 months ago, on the night of our high school graduation, we had a wild, reckless one-night stand. Afterward, he had leaned back against the headboard, looking completely nonchalant. "Taylor, I'll take responsibility for you," he had said lazily. "But honestly, don't you think we're better off as siblings? Us actually dating, it just feels like a joke." I knew Justin had already sobered up halfway through the hookup, but he still leaned over, affectionately biting my ear. A long time passed before everything finally settled into quiet. I took a moment to catch my breath, then lifted the duvet to get up. "What's wrong?" Justin asked from the bed. "I want to take a shower," I whispered. He didn't say anything else. He just clicked on the bedside lamp, threw on a bathrobe, and walked over to carry me into the bathroom. He set me down gently in the bathtub, then leaned back against the sink counter to watch me. "Can you wash up by yourself?" "Yeah, I can." He nodded, stepped out, and pulled the bathroom door shut behind him. That was the entire extent of our conversation that night. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of him talking on his phone out on the hotel balcony. He wasn't that far away, so the voice on the other end came through perfectly clear. It was Gigi, the undisputed it girl of our high school, and a girl in our graduating class. "Do you remember what we promised each other?" she asked. Justin held the phone, staying silent. When he didn't answer, she gently reminded him, "We agreed that after graduation, we'd make it official." Her voice was laced with shy anticipation. Justin had his back to me. On his neck were the faint scratch marks I couldn't hold back from making the night before. He rested his arm on the balcony railing. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I'm sorry, Gigi. I'm gonna have to break that promise." He let out a low laugh. I couldn't tell if he was mocking himself or the situation. "I have a girlfriend now. Just last night, Taylor and I got together." Hearing my own name, my eyelashes fluttered. Justin hung up and turned around. Seeing me awake, he raised an eyebrow. "You're up?" He didn't come inside. Instead, he slouched lazily into the patio chair on the balcony. The heavy, sweet scent of intimacy in the room had already started to fade. I buried the lower half of my face in the blanket and asked quietly, "Justin, do you actually like me?" He was playing with a silver Zippo lighter, flipping the lid open and shut. The crisp clink was a subtle reminder of how expensive it was. Without even looking up, he shot back nonchalantly, "Does it matter? As long as you like me, isn't that enough?" I understood exactly what he meant. He didn't like me. He was rejecting the girl he actually had feelings for just to take responsibility for what happened between us. For a split second, I actually considered playing along and just dating him. After all, I had been in love with him for so long. I thought maybe, if we were together, he'd eventually fall for me. But Justin and I had known each other since kindergarten. I had been by his side for over a decade, and I still hadn't managed to make him see me that way. Reality finally hit me. It was never going to happen. In silence, I picked up my clothes from the floor and put them on one by one. "It's fine," I told him. "Last night was just an accident. Neither of us needs to dwell on it." The clicking of the lighter stopped. As I reached for my phone on the table in front of him, he grabbed my wrist. "Taylor, are you sure about this?" I pulled my hand free and said yes. Justin laughed again. But this time, it sounded a lot more genuine. On the Uber ride home, Justin sat right next to me in the back seat. "Tay, we've known each other for so many years. Don't you agree we're way more like brother and sister?" He sounded like the very idea of us was absurd. The thought of us two actually dating, honestly, it's hilarious. I rolled my window all the way down. I rested my head on the edge, letting the wind rush in from all sides. It felt like I was finally getting a breath of fresh air in a suffocating room. So this is what it felt like. Loving Justin was just miserable. Going into my 5th year of harboring this massive crush, I suddenly just wanted to quit. Justin and I lived in the same gated neighborhood. When the Uber dropped us off at my driveway, I said goodbye and turned to head inside. He grabbed my arm again. His eyes dropped to the red marks on the side of my neck, his gaze shifting slightly. "Are you still hurting?" "What?" He lowered his voice. "Last night, you kept saying it hurt. Do you want me to go to the pharmacy and get you something?" I looked down. "I'm fine now." "Yeah," he murmured. "Go inside. Call me if anything feels off." I was so physically exhausted from the night before that all I wanted to do was go back to sleep. I plugged in my dead phone and went to the bathroom to take another shower. Half an hour later, my phone had turned back on. A bunch of Instagram DMs from Gigi popped up on my screen. "Taylor, do you know where Justin went? We got into a fight yesterday afternoon and he just left. He got mad because I introduced him to someone as my friend. But we aren't even officially dating yet. Calling him my boyfriend would be weird. If you see him, please let me know." I froze. Last night was our senior class graduation party. I had planned to confess to Justin one last time. I figured once he officially rejected me, I could finally move on for good. But instead, Justin had kissed me. And then everything spiraled out of control. I thought he had just had too much to drink. Turns out, he was just sleeping with me to get back at Gigi. Maybe it was because I had finally accepted the fact that he would never love me, but I didn't even feel heartbroken. Just deeply tired. Thinking back to the phone call Justin made to Gigi that morning, I honestly didn't know how to reply to her. So, I just took a screenshot of her messages and sent it to Justin. "Explain it to her yourself." A minute later, Justin sent 3 voice memos. Got it. Don't worry about it, I'll handle it. Then, his voice dropped an octave, sounding softer. I postmated you some recovery broth. It should be there soon. Drink it and get some sleep, Tay. I typed back, why did you order me broth? I don't need to recover. My screen stayed quiet for almost half a minute. When he finally replied, it was a text. I just left the clinic. I asked the doctor what a girl should eat after her first time to regain her strength. She recommended this. Right on cue, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and took the delivery bag from the driver. The steam from the hot soup made my eyes sting. But I didn't feel the urge to cry at all. I guess letting go of someone really does start with your emotions just fading to gray. A few days later, Justin and Gigi hard-launched their relationship on Instagram. A bunch of our classmates flooded the comments with OMG finally and couple goals. But a lot of people who didn't follow them were totally out of the loop. That is, until the end of summer party. The class organized a big dinner before everyone left for college. Justin and Gigi stood up and publicly announced they were together. They were sitting right across the table from me. It was hard to cheer and clap without looking like a complete hypocrite, so I just quietly kept my head down, nibbling on a celery stick. Suddenly, a perfectly peeled shrimp was placed on my plate. I turned to look at Sean, who was sitting next to me. He paused for a second, then said softly, "It's clean, don't worry. I'm wearing plastic gloves." I couldn't help but smile and let out a little laugh. "Feeling a bit better?" he asked. Sean had been my desk mate for the last 3 years of high school. He had figured out my massive crush on Justin ages ago. I nodded, picking up a piece of short rib with my chopsticks and dropping it onto his plate to return the favor. "Much better. Thanks." Halfway through dinner, someone suggested playing Truth or Dare. Nobody really objected. The very first question drawn by the class athlete immediately set the room on fire. "Are you still a virgin? If not, please explain in detail how you lost it." As everyone leaned in, eagerly waiting for the person to answer, I instinctively glanced at Justin. Unexpectedly, my eyes met his dark, cloudy gaze. Right then, Gigi nudged his arm. Justin. She was wearing disposable gloves, busy peeling crawfish. "The strap on my slip dress is falling. Pull it back up for me." "Sure." The second Justin reached out and touched Gigi's bare shoulder, I quickly looked away. To avoid drawing a wild card question like that one, I used the excuse that the private dining room was too stuffy and went down to the restaurant's garden patio for some fresh air. A few minutes later, Sean followed me down. He was holding a slice of cake on a small paper plate. He placed the cake in my hands. "If you're not having fun, we don't have to go back up." Honestly, I wasn't even that sad. It was more that, ever since that night, I just didn't know how to act around Justin and Gigi anymore. I took the cake, sliced it in half, and offered him a piece. "Thanks. But really, you don't have to worry. I'm completely over Justin. I literally just see him as the annoying guy next door now. I swear." Afraid he wouldn't believe me, I put as much sincerity into the word swear as humanly possible. After a moment, Sean's eyes softened. He picked up a strawberry with his fork and lightly tapped it against the strawberry on my cake, like we were Cheers ing. "Congratulations, then." Suddenly, a phone ringtone pierced the quiet air from a few feet away. I snapped my head up and finally noticed Justin leaning against the patio railing in the shadows. "What are you doing down here?" I asked. Justin casually lifted his hand, the burning cherry of a cigarette glowing between his fingers. "Came down for a smoke. Heard you guys talking about me. Sounded interesting, so I didn't want to interrupt." Sean excused himself to go throw the cake box away. Justin walked over, the sharp scent of mint and tobacco invading my space. He sat down next to me, his tone careless. "You really don't like me anymore?" I held my plate and nodded firmly. "I don't. You don't have to feel awkward around me anymore, Justin." Justin was quiet. I couldn't tell what was going through his head. After a solid 30 seconds, the corner of his mouth twitched up. "Finally using your brain, huh?" My phone buzzed. It was a text from Sean saying the class president needed him, so he went back to the room first. Justin glanced at my screen. "You planning on giving it a shot with him?" He scoffed lightly. "He's pretty mid." Over the last 3 years, Sean had always looked out for me. I wasn't going to sit there and let someone trash talk him. "He's a great guy," I snapped back. "You barely even know him. What gives you the right to say that?" Sean had soft, handsome features. He wasn't as sharp or aggressively attractive as Justin, but he had a great personality. He was decent, respectful, and rarely lost his temper. Unlike Justin, who constantly acted like a spoiled, moody prince. Justin slowly lifted his eyes to stare at me. "Oh, so you know how to raise your voice now?" It was a completely out-of-context question, but I understood what he meant instantly. That night, I had bitten my lip until it bled, too embarrassed to make a single sound. Justin had tilted my chin up, his kisses landing relentlessly on my skin. "Taylor, let me hear you," he had whispered. "You sound so good." My sudden burst of anger completely evaporated, replaced by a flush of heat. I looked down. "You have a girlfriend now. Don't ever bring that up again." The loud chirping of the cicadas filled the stiff silence between us. Eventually, Justin let out a low "I confessed to Gigi about that night," he said casually. "But I didn't tell her it was you. I told her it was some random girl she didn't know." Even knowing that, I still felt incredibly awkward whenever I had to face Gigi. With 2 months to kill before the fall semester started, I was bored out of my mind sitting at home. So, I picked up a side gig as a VIP tour guide at the Universal Studios right near my neighborhood. It was scorching hot. I was wearing a neon orange vest and a matching sun visor. Right near the entrance of the park, I ran straight into Justin and Gigi on a date. Gigi spotted me first. She looked me up and down. "Taylor?" Are you working as a tour guide here? Justin glanced at my vest and visor, one of his eyebrows shooting up. He clearly found it hilarious. I forced a dry laugh. Yeah, you guys should head inside. It's gonna get packed, and the lines for the rides are going to be insane. Oh, it's fine, Gigi said brightly. Justin bought the VIP Express passes. The Express passes cost several times more than regular admission, but you got to skip the lines for everything instead of waiting 45 minutes for a single coaster. Justin's dad's business had exploded over the last couple of years. Dropping that kind of cash was absolutely nothing to him. Justin reached out and flipped over the lanyard hanging around my neck. On the front was a Venmo QR code. Underneath, a small line of text read, Taylor's VIP Tours. The best routes to save you time. Justin let out a snort of laughter. Me. He pulled out his phone and scanned the code. So, tour guide Taylor. How much to hire you for the day? Considering I hadn't gotten a single client in 2 days, my desire to distance myself from Justin was instantly overpowered by my desire to make money. $350, I replied. To avoid any misunderstandings, I was constantly doing mental gymnastics to position myself so that Gigi was always standing right between Justin and me. I helped them take photos with the mascot characters. I scrolled through the camera roll, showing them the pictures. Wow, you're actually such a good photographer. Gigi gushed. Not really, I smiled politely. You guys are just really photogenic. You look great together, so the pictures naturally turn out amazing. After saying that, I looked up, only to realize Justin had already walked several paces away. Gigi ended up buying a ton of theme park merch and plushies. Taylor, I already paid for these. Could you hold them for me, she asked. I stared at the 3 massive, half-human-sized blind bags and was momentarily speechless. Taking a deep breath, I reached for the giant bags. Sure, give them here. Suddenly, Justin's hand reached out right in front of me to stop me. It's fine, I said quickly. You guys already bought the VIP passes, so you didn't even need a guide to save time. Since I took your money anyway, I should at least do the heavy lifting. Gigi trotted back over and linked her arm through Justin's. Yeah, exactly, she chimed in. They're not even that heavy, just give them to Taylor. You promised to watch the parade with me. Justin didn't move. He smiled and gently peeled Gigi's hands off his arm. Stop messing around, Gigi. I'm not gonna make my little sister lug all this heavy crap around. How would that look? Gigi's smile immediately tightened into something forced. Oh, right, fine. That was the exact moment the vibe completely shifted. For the rest of the rides that afternoon, Gigi looked totally unenthusiastic. It wasn't until the fireworks show at the very end of the night that her mood finally picked up. Justin, I want to record a video, lift me up so I can see. Justin said sure. He bent down, grabbed her legs, and hoisted her up onto his shoulders. Seeing Gigi finally looking happy again, I let out a quiet sigh of relief. When Justin finally set her down, he turned around and looked at me. Want me to lift you up too? Gigi whipped her head around and stared at us. The temperature in the air instantly plummeted to absolute zero. I scrambled to reject him. No, I'm good. Justin, I can see perfectly fine from here. Justin opened his mouth to say something else, but I had already made an excuse and bolted into the crowd. When the park finally closed, the 3 of us walked out toward the exit. Gigi linked her arm through mine. I actually had a pretty good time today. Thanks for guiding us, Taylor. No problem. You paid for it, I'm just doing my job. Gigi smiled tightly. Justin just doesn't understand boundaries like that. She lowered her voice slightly. Let me tell you a secret. You know, on graduation night, when Justin got super drunk, some girl actually had the absolute nerve to try and throw herself at him. Thankfully, Justin totally rejected her. He even used you as an excuse to get rid of her. He told her he was dating you. Gigi shook her head, looking disgusted. I seriously don't get girls these days. Absolutely zero self-respect. It's so shameless, it's like their parents never taught them any manners. A warm summer breeze blew past, making the hem of Justin's black shirt flutter. He smirked. His voice was incredibly smooth and charming, but the words that came out of his mouth were pure, toxic chaos. You remembered it wrong, Gigi. She didn't throw herself at me. I kissed her first. Haley, successfully driven to tears by his absolute lack of boundaries, turned and ran off into the crowd. Justin rubbed his temples, letting out an exhausted sigh. Taylor, don't take it to heart. She's just paranoid about that night. She doesn't actually suspect you, she's just trying to indirectly mark her territory. Ignore her. I stared blankly at the spot where Haley had disappeared. If you hadn't said that just now, everything would have been fine. Justin chuckled, completely unbothered. That night was my mistake. I couldn't exactly let you take the fall for it, could I? I didn't even have the energy to respond. Between navigating the theme park crowds and dealing with their toxic drama, I was more exhausted today than I had been all week. For the next few weeks, I didn't see either of them. I stuck to my routine, picking up as many VIP tour shifts as I could. On my one day off, I got a frantic phone call from Justin's mom. Taylor, honey, could you please go check on Justin and pick up some meds for him, she pleaded. He caught a bad flu yesterday, and I'm stuck out of state for a business trip. He's not picking up his phone and I'm worried sick. His mom had always treated me like a daughter. I had no reason to say no. I got the address for the off-campus apartment he had just moved into and took an Uber over. I rang the doorbell a few times. No answer. His mom texted me the smart lock passcode. I punched it in, took my shoes off at the door, and walked inside. Right as I stepped into the living room, Justin walked out of the bathroom. He had nothing on but a white towel slung low around his waist. I immediately averted my eyes. Your mom asked me to bring you some meds. He nodded, casually running a small towel through his damp hair. Is it hot out? You want an ice matcha? I can make you one. He didn't seem to have any intention of putting clothes on, just standing there totally unapologetic. I set the pharmacy bag on the kitchen island and shook my head. As long as you're alive, I'm good. I'm gonna head back. Remember to call your mom. Just as the words left my mouth, the doorbell rang. I glanced at the security monitor on the wall. It was Haley. Justin started walking toward the door. I panicked and grabbed his arm. What are you doing? If she sees you answering the door looking like that while I'm in here, we're never going to be able to explain it. Compared to my sheer panic, he was totally calm. He looked down at me, raising an eyebrow. Is there anything to explain? It's not like we're innocent. Is now really the time for this? I hissed. If she sees this, she is actually going to break up with you. Outside, Haley started knocking impatiently. I pressed my hands together, begging him. Please. I really don't want to be dragged into your mess again. He stared at me for a second, then sighed. There's a walk-in closet in my bedroom. I didn't need to be told twice. I bolted into his room and shut myself inside the spacious closet. Less than a minute later, the closet door was yanked open. I was huddled in the corner, hugging my knees, my heart pounding out of my chest. Justin looked down at me and laughed softly. I'm just grabbing a shirt. He crouched down, an amused smirk on his face. You're shaking. You're acting like we're actually having an affair. Me. His gaze slowly dropped to my lips. His Adam's apple bobbed. Haley's knocking got louder, more frantic. I aggressively shooed him away, whispering at him to put a damn shirt on and get out. After he let Haley in, I couldn't really hear what they were saying in the living room. But soon, the footsteps got closer. Haley was practically pushing Justin into the bedroom. She pushed him until the back of his knees hit the edge of the bed, and as he sat down, she straddled his lap. The slight gap in the closet door gave me a direct line of sight to the bed. I squeezed my eyes shut, silently praying to any god listening that they wouldn't start hooking up. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Haley leaned in to kiss him, but he chuckled and slightly tilted his head, dodging it. You don't want me? She asked, her voice tight. Why not? Justin leaned back, supporting his weight on his elbows. It's too fast, Haley. Oh, so it wasn't too fast with that woman? Her tone was laced with pure, bitter resentment. Justin, who the hell is she? I swear, I feel like I know her. Justin brushed it off smoothly. I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about that anymore. Haley buried her face in the crook of his neck and started crying. It just feels like you don't even like me that much. I know you just see Taylor as a little sister, but you treat her so well. You don't even treat me that well. Hearing my name, my shoulders flinched involuntarily. Thankfully, I didn't make a sound. Justin was dead silent. I had no idea what expression was on his face. After a long pause, he gently stroked the back of her head, his voice dropping into that low, comforting tone. That's not true. Stop overthinking it, baby. After Haley finally left, I pushed the closet door open and stumbled out. My legs were completely dead from crouching so long. I hobbled out to the living room and pulled out a stool at the kitchen island. Give me a sec. Once I can feel my legs again, I'm out. Justin was out on the balcony, vaping. He tapped the device against the railing, slipped it into his pocket, and walked back inside holding a small, wrapped gift box. Don't worry about it, Taylor, he said. He placed the box on the counter right next to my hand, then walked over to the entryway and opened the front door for me. His tone was as casual and gently detached as always. There's a coffee shop downstairs. You can go rest there. I was thinking about it. Lately, because of how guilty I feel about that night, I've been trying to compensate you. And because of that, I've been neglecting my girlfriend and making her insecure. He looked down, a faint, self-deprecating smile on his lips. We should probably keep our distance from now on. Your birthday is next week. Here's your present early. I won't be coming to celebrate with you. I leaned heavily on the counter, forcing myself to stand up. Every nerve in my legs prickled with static. Got it. You can keep the gift, though. Take it, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Otherwise, we'll never be fully even. He was talking about the expensive watch I had bought him for his birthday last year. Realizing that, I didn't argue. I picked up the box, muttered a quiet thanks, and limped out the door. Over the next few weeks, Haley's mood visibly skyrocketed. Her Instagram stories were non-stop. Justin had taken her on a massive 2-week vacation to Australia and New Zealand. I scrolled through her feed. The scenery was absolutely stunning. I had always wanted to go. I figured one day, when I had the time and money, I'd go see it for myself. Right as I was thinking about it, Sean texted me a link. It was a student travel group package to Australia and New Zealand. I remember you saying you wanted to go here, he wrote. They're organizing a winter break trip. Want to go together? I clicked the link. The group discount actually made the price pretty reasonable. I had been putting the trip off for 2 reasons. 1, it was expensive, and 2, I didn't have anyone to go with. Now, Sean wanted to go, so I practically had a built-in travel buddy. I replied immediately, yes. Absolutely. Since it's winter break for us, it'll be summer over there. Perfect timing. Plus, this gave me a few solid months to save up enough money. Motivated by the trip, I threw myself entirely into my side gig. It was peak tourist season, so the demand for VIP guides was off the charts. I was working from sunrise to sunset. It wasn't until I was updating my calendar that a terrifying realization hit me. My period was late. It had been exactly 2.5 months since that night with Justin. A cold wave of pure dread started at the soles of my feet and rushed all the way up to my chest. I frantically replayed the details of that night in my head. It happened twice. He wore a condom both times. I even distinctly remembered seeing the 2 torn wrappers in the hotel trash can the next morning. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and Googled if it was still possible. The top Reddit thread answered me bluntly, yeah, condoms break, babe. I slumped back into my desk chair. It felt like the floor was caving in, and some icy hand was dragging me straight down into the abyss. I took an Uber to a CVS 3 towns over just to buy a pregnancy test, terrified someone I knew would see me. But even after I bought it, it sat in my bag. I was too paralyzed by fear to actually take it. Through it all, even at my most helpless, the thought of calling Justin never even crossed my mind. I was basically a walking zombie at work the next few days. Usually, I left a setting on my booking profile that automatically declined solo male tourists. I had forgotten to turn it back on. The next morning, a guy standing about Justin's height, but significantly heavier and older, was waiting for me at the park entrance. "You ready to show me around, little guide?" he asked, a weird smirk on his face. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. I politely stepped back. "Sir, I'm so sorry, but I'm actually feeling really sick today. Can I have one of my male colleagues take over your tour?" The guy's voice instantly boomed. "Absolutely not. I paid for you. I drove 3 hours to get here, and I'm not dealing with a bait and switch. What's your problem? Do I look like a creep to you? This is straight up gender discrimination." His sudden screaming drew the attention of everyone nearby. Just as I turned my head, desperately looking for park security, my eyes locked with Justin's. Haley was standing right next to him. I guess they were back from Australia. Justin stared at the screaming man for about 2 seconds, his jaw tightening, and started walking toward us. Haley instantly grabbed his arm. "Don't. You promised me you wouldn't get involved in her life anymore. Plus, there's security right over there. She's not in actual danger. She doesn't need you playing the hero." Justin stopped in his tracks. Haley linked her arm through his and pulled him away toward the ticket gates. The guy was still throwing a massive tantrum, screaming about discrimination. I had run out of excuses. I figured if I just sped run the tour and kept us in broad daylight, I'd be fine. Maybe I was just being paranoid at first. For the first few hours, the guy was totally normal. He went on the rides, didn't talk much, and kept his distance. Gradually, I started to relax. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Justin. "You okay? Did you get that handled?" I stared at the message, swiped left, and deleted the thread without replying. By dusk, we had hit every single ride on his itinerary, but the guy refused to leave. He glanced at me. "I came here specifically for the fireworks show." I quietly dug my nails into my palms. When the fireworks finally ended, the massive crowd started bottlenecking toward the exits. It was pitch black out. Some of the pathways near the back of the park were poorly lit and completely empty. The guy looked at the sea of people and suddenly stopped walking. "It's way too crowded. Let's go walk around the lake for a bit and wait for it to clear out." The second he started walking toward the unlit, secluded path, I planted my feet. "Sir, my contracted hours are officially over. If you don't want to head to the exit, you're free to stay, but I'm leaving." I had no idea if there were security cameras down that path, and I wasn't going to risk finding out. The guy turned around. Before I could react, he lunged, wrapping one arm around my shoulders and clapping his other hand hard over my mouth to muffle my scream. "I tried booking you on 3 different accounts, and you kept rejecting me," he hissed in my ear. "Finally managed to snag you. Let's go, little guide." I thrashed violently, fighting with everything I had. In the struggle, my tote bag tipped over. The pink box of the CVS pregnancy test tumbled out onto the pavement. The guy saw it and let out a disgusting, sleazy laugh. "Look at you, playing the innocent victim. If you're already getting knocked up, what's the big deal with having a little fun with me? It's not like I won't pay you." He started dragging me into the dark. Tears of pure terror blurred my vision. But suddenly, I heard the sound of heavy footsteps sprinting toward us. Crack. A fist collided with the guy's jaw so hard the sound echoed. The man dropped me instantly, stumbling back. It was Justin. His eyes were completely black with rage. He grabbed the heavier man by the collar, lifted him effortlessly, and slammed him brutal against the brick wall of a nearby kiosk. "You completely disgusting piece of shit." His face was a mask of absolute revulsion as he started throwing punches. Every hit was visceral and merciless. When Justin finally bent down, grabbed a heavy decorative rock from the landscaping, and raised it toward the guy's head, I screamed for him to stop. The man crumpled to the ground like a sack of garbage. Justin dropped the rock and walked over to me. There was a faint metallic smell of blood on his knuckles. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. I shook my head, my whole body trembling. "Thank you. I need to go." Justin looked down, saw the pregnancy test box on the ground, and picked it up. He grabbed my wrist. "Is this yours?" "Taylor, why the hell are you buying this?" "I wore a condom." "I bought the wrong thing," I lied, trying to yank my arm away. Honestly, my panic earlier that week had been for nothing. Around noon today, my stomach had started cramping, and I had gone to the bathroom to find that my period had finally arrived. The delay was just from extreme stress. Justin obviously didn't believe me. His grip on my wrist tightened like a vice. "Taylor, I'm taking you to a hospital right now." A third voice suddenly cut through the dark. "Taking her to do what, Justin?" Haley stepped out from the shadows. Her face was deathly pale. She looked at him with chilling calmness. "If she's actually pregnant, are you going to marry her?" Justin tightened his grip on me, looked Haley dead in the eye, and didn't even hesitate. "Yes." I finally ripped my arm free, utterly disgusted by the entire situation. "I literally just said I'm not pregnant. Stop making up delusional scenarios." My words completely set Haley off. She lunged forward and slapped me across the face. "It's you. Honestly, Taylor, I'm not even surprised." I couldn't think of anyone else desperate and pathetic enough to throw themselves at him like that. But God, you really are cheaper than I thought. You sat there for 3 years watching us fall in love, didn't you? Did you really think spreading your legs for him for one night was going to change anything? He still chose me. My cheek burned, numb and stinging at the same time. Haley wasn't wrong. Everyone in school knew they had been dancing around each other for years. But that night, when Justin leaned in and kissed me, I had desperately lied to myself. I told myself maybe everyone else was wrong. When Haley raised her hand to slap me again, Justin caught her wrist mid-air. He held her arm, then turned his own hand and slapped himself hard across the face. Don't blame her, he said coldly. I initiated it. Haley broke down. She started sobbing, weakly hitting his chest. When she finally ran out of energy, Justin leaned down and gently wiped her tears with his thumb. It's my fault, Haley. He smiled down at her, the way you'd smile at a child throwing a tantrum. When you find your next boyfriend, be careful. Don't let yourself get played again. Haley choked on a sob. Are you breaking up with me? Did you fall in love with her? He looked incredibly conflicted, almost detached, but he kept that faint smile on his face. I honestly don't know. I can't tell if I actually fell for her, or if the guilt is just eating me alive. But I know I liked you. I really did. But we can't do this anymore. Neither of us is ever going to be able to move past this. I stared down at the pavement. Under the dim streetlight, Justin and Haley's shadows were overlapping, holding each other. My shadow was standing off to the side, rigid as a board. Like a completely useless prop. I had never felt so humiliated in my entire life. In that moment, I desperately wished I could travel back in time to the night of that graduation dinner. I would have strangled the version of me that decided to confess to him. Justin and Haley broke up. With 1 month left before college started, I quit my job at the theme park. I joined the incoming freshman group chats and focused entirely on preparing for my move. When Justin's mom came over to have coffee with my mom, I overheard that Justin had decided to go to UCLA too. I wasn't surprised. It was the best school in the area, and he had the grades for it. Thankfully, we were in completely different majors, so the chances of us crossing paths were basically zero. Sean, however, was in my exact program. We had even managed to get placed in the same seminar. On move-in day, Justin, who hadn't spoken to me in a month, sent me a text. Taylor, wanna head to campus together? It wasn't until I had unpacked my dorm and settled in that I found out Justin had been in a car crash. My mom called and told me he had been driving to our neighborhood to pick me up. When he found out I had already left, he turned around to head to campus. Just a few blocks from my house, a drunk driver T-boned his car. Taylor, he was only on that road because he was coming to get you, my mom sighed. He's fine, nothing life-threatening, but you really should go visit him when you have time. I took the bus to the hospital. When I walked into his private room, Justin was lying in bed. Seeing me, he propped himself up lazily on his elbows. You actually came. If it weren't for the heavy cast on his right leg, you wouldn't even know he had been in a wreck. I thought you were planning on ignoring me for the rest of your life. He was referring to the fact that I had left him on red that morning. I set the basket of fruit I bought on his nightstand and pulled up a chair. I wouldn't do that. Besides, it's impossible. Our moms have been best friends for over a decade. We're going to see each other. Let's just never mention what happened again. We can just go back to the way we used to be. He picked up an orange from the basket, tossing it lightly in the air with one hand and catching it. So, you're finally ready to just call me your brother, then? Yes, I said. Justin didn't respond. He just kept tossing the orange, the repetitive thwack against his palm filling the quiet room. After a long time, he casually changed the subject. So, how was move-in? Anything interesting happen? I thought about it for a second. Not really. Just found out Sean is in the same major as me. We even share a class. It's nice having an old friend around, makes it feel less intimidating. Justin's eyes went flat. He let out a low, uninterested HM. He dropped the orange back into the basket and didn't say another word. Because of his leg, Justin completely missed the chaotic, mandatory outdoor events of freshman welcome week. Standing on the quad in 95-degree heat playing icebreaker games, the thought of him chilling in an AC-filled dorm room bred intense jealousy. During a quick 10-minute water break, a guy I didn't know walked over holding 4 massive iced matcha lattes. He set them down in front of me. Hey, Justin ordered these for you and your roommates. Over the last few days, I had gotten pretty close with the girls in my dorm. Hearing the guy, they immediately started teasing me. Ooh, who is this, Justin? We're literally melting out here, and none of the guys are willing to walk 5 minutes to the student union for water. And someone is postmating you iced matcha? Spill. I ran my thumb over the condensation on the plastic cup. He's my brother. Like, biological brother, one of them asked skeptically. I looked down, pressing my lips together. Yeah, basically. We grew up together. We're practically siblings. By the 3rd week of the semester, Justin was finally out of his cast and walking normally. After my last morning lecture, I walked out of the humanities building and saw him leaning against the brick wall outside. A pretty upperclassman was trying to hit on him. Are you a freshman? Do you need help finding your building? I can walk you there. Justin didn't even look at her. His eyes were pinned on me. No thanks. I'm just here to take my sister to lunch. I walked over. Justin? Were you waiting for me? He gave a curt nod. I instinctively started looking for an out. I actually already promised my roommates we'd go to the dining hall together. He slowly lifted his eyes and stared at me. I literally just watched your roommates walk past me. They were talking about ordering Chipotle. Also, my mom and your mom are in town. We're meeting them for lunch. Let me guess, you thought I was trying to take you on a date, so you immediately tried to reject me? I choked on my words. Taylor, he said, a mocking half-smile forming on his face. Is this what you meant by going back to the way we used to be? I had nothing to say to that. I just quietly followed him toward the campus exit. After walking for a bit, Justin stopped and looked back at my canvas tote bag. He held out his hand. Want me to carry that? Huh? No, it's fine. Terrified he'd read into it, I quickly over-explained. Seriously, it's fine. I just have one notebook in there, it weighs nothing. Justin slowly pulled his hand back. He slowed his pace, walking shoulder to shoulder with me. We bumped into his roommate along the way. The guy threw an arm around Justin's shoulder. Yo man, another girl in our frat rush group asked me for your Instagram. What do I tell her? You didn't even try to pull anyone this week. Standards too high. No, Justin replied smoothly. He looked down, his finger casually flicking the little plush keychain hanging off my tote bag. Just don't feel like dating. Why? Waste of time. I'd rather spend it hanging out with my sister. When he said it, I could feel his eyes deliberately scanning my face. The way he said it, he sounded more like my overprotective brother than ever. Over the next month, Justin found excuses to grab food with me a few more times. The energy between us was always suffocatingly weird, and I rarely had an appetite when we ate. Eventually, I just started signing up for extra electives and study groups. Once I was genuinely drowning in coursework, I finally had a bulletproof excuse to turn him down. But when he called and asked me to go with him to his final orthopedic follow-up for his leg, I couldn't really say no. When I hesitated on the phone, his tone turned careless. If you're busy, drop it. It's not a big deal. The bone's just been aching pretty bad lately. I'll just go by myself. Wait, can you even walk on it right now? I asked. I'll rent a wheelchair or something. Was it really that bad? I let out a heavy sigh, packed up my laptop in the library, and said, fine. I'll go with you. I heard a faint chuckle on the other end. Thanks, Tay. By the time we finished at the clinic, it was dinner time. We found a nice Italian place near the hospital. Justin sat across from me, pulled a small velvet box out of his jacket, and pushed it across the table. What's this? I asked. A protective charm. Got it for you. A few days ago, Justin had driven 4 hours out to a remote, famous mountain retreat. At the very top of a brutal, steep 3,000-step incline was a shrine. Local legend said if you hiked it yourself, your wish for the person receiving the charm would come true. That was why his leg was killing him. He had hiked 3,000 steps on a recently healed fracture. A massive, tangled knot of emotions lodged in my throat. I couldn't find an outlet for any of it. I remember you saying stuff like this was superstitious BS, I said quietly. He leaned back in his chair. After the crash, I started believing. When that car T-boned me, the very first thought that went through my head was pure relief. Taylor, I was so fucking relieved you weren't in the passenger seat. Soft violin music floated through the restaurant. He immediately masked the intensity, reverting to his usual arrogant, careless grin. Just keep it on your bag. Can't hurt, right? The sharp click-clack of heels approached our table. Haley, whom I hadn't seen since the summer, stopped right next to us. She smiled brightly. Long time no see. I see you guys finally made it official. She reached down, picked up the charm box from the table, and inspected it. She murmured, almost to herself, the 3,000-step trail. She looked at Justin, her eyes flashing with lingering resentment. You never went out of your way to do anything like that for me. Justin didn't take the bait. He just gave her a polite, distant nod. You here for dinner? Yep, she said, lifting her chin proudly. With my new boyfriend. He's hotter than you, richer than you, and he actually likes me. Justin smirked, taking a sip of his water. That's great. Congratulations. You know I've always wanted you to be happy. After Haley walked away, I quietly slid the velvet box back across the table to Justin. Just send me the address of the trail. When I have a free weekend, I'll go hike it and get one myself. You should keep this one. I kept my eyes glued to my pasta. I didn't dare look at Justin's face. An inappropriate memory suddenly flashed in my mind, the night he broke up with Haley. Standing outside the theme park, he had said he didn't know if he was actually falling for me, or if it was just guilt. Back then, I thought he was just making an excuse. A wave of absolute exhaustion washed over me. Justin had actually fallen in love with me, but it had been 6 months since I forced myself to rip him out of my heart. We were like two misaligned gears. Justin was desperately trying to force himself into a slot that didn't fit anymore. And I knew it would never fit again. I actively started avoiding him. I'd reply to his texts a day late, and completely ignored any invites to hang out. He caught on pretty quickly, and the text started slowing down. But out of sheer bad luck, we had ended up in the same intramural tennis elective. Sean was in the class too. Usually, the guys practiced on the adjacent courts. Before we huddled up for drills, I gave Sean a quick wave. Across the net, Justin looked miserable. He was bouncing a tennis ball aggressively against the court, catching it, and throwing it down again. He looked like a storm cloud ready to burst. After the coach demonstrated the new serving forms, he paired us up to rally. I sprinted backward to return a lob, twisted my ankle awkwardly, and hit the deck hard. Justin cleared the net in seconds, sliding onto the court right next to me. Don't move. I'm taking you to the clinic. Sean jogged over and stepped between us. Recently, during our library study sessions, I had confessed to Sean that I was trying to cut Justin off. When Justin tried to scoop me up, Sean firmly blocked his arm. Actually, I'll take Taylor to the clinic, Sean said calmly. She'd probably feel more comfortable with me anyway. I nodded, opening my mouth to agree. But the coach suddenly marched over, blowing his whistle. What are you guys standing around for? Justin, hurry up and carry her to the trainer. Justin locked eyes with Sean. His gaze was laced with an indescribable, suffocating arrogance. Excuse me, Sean. Step aside. Justin's foul mood was radiating off him in waves. The campus athletic trainer was swamped prepping for an upcoming track meet. He shoved a tube of medical ointment into Justin's chest and started walking away. You rub it in for her. Her calf muscle is spasming, she can't reach it herself. Make sure you get it right on the swelling. You have to massage it deep into the tissue, he yelled over his shoulder before disappearing out the door. The clinic room fell dead silent. It was just the two of us. Justin, thanks for bringing me, I said, breaking the ice. Just give me the ointment. I'll call my roommate to come help me. He ignored me completely. He unlaced my sneaker and slid it off. Dropping to one knee, he lifted my foot and rested it gently on his thigh. He rolled my sock down. Squeezing a glob of ointment onto his palms, he started massaging my swollen ankle with surprisingly gentle, careful pressure. I started awkwardly. So, one of the girls in my dorm asked for your Instagram. She even tracked me down to give me a gift to pass on to you. Since she thinks I'm your sister and all, can I give her your handle? Justin kept his eyes glued to my ankle. No. My fingers tightly gripped the edges of the examination table. I forced a lighthearted, teasing tone. Come on, you can't just mope around forever because of your breakup with Haley. You should get back out there. Try dating someone new. His hands stopped moving. He slowly looked up, his dark eyes piercing straight through me. Taylor. Do you seriously think Haley is the reason I'm not dating? The massive, unspoken elephant in the room was inches away from finally being dragged into the light. But before he could say another word, the clinic door swung open. A student assistant peeked in. Is the trainer here? Oh, guess not. That's fine, I said a little too loudly, pulling my foot off Justin's knee. We'll just wait for him here. Sean finally confessed his feelings to me. We were walking back from the library right as it closed. When we reached the courtyard outside my dorm building, he stopped, looked at me, and said it. Then, he gave me that warm, reassuring smile. No pressure at all, he said softly. I just wanted to put it out there. You don't have to give me an answer right now. I stared down at my sneakers. After a long pause, I murmured, I'll think about it. Sean was an incredible guy. He would make the absolute perfect boyfriend. But is just being a great guy enough of a foundation to build a relationship on? I felt entirely lost. Sean smiled, told me to have a good night, and walked away. Deep in thought, I turned around to head inside and slammed straight into someone's chest. I looked up. My eyes met Justin's. He was staring over my shoulder at Sean's retreating figure, a dark, volatile look in his eyes. Why didn't you reject him? Taylor, are you serious right now? Are you actually going to say yes to him? I took a step back. That is none of your business. He grabbed my wrist and yanked me forward until the tips of our shoes were touching. Then what am I? He demanded. My brother, I replied flatly. I stopped trying to pull away. I figured I might as well just end this right here, right now. Your brother? His grip tightened painfully around my wrist. A dark, wicked smile twisted his lips. You sure didn't treat me like a brother when we were sleeping together. Justin. I looked him dead in the eye and enunciated every single word. You are the one who said we were better off as brother and sister. So let's just say I regret it. Over these last few months, I refuse to believe you haven't noticed that I'm in love with you. The biting chill of the late autumn wind swept through the courtyard, instantly extinguishing the fiery tension between us. Dead leaves skittered across the concrete, rustling against our feet. But what does it matter if you like me now? I stared blankly at the dead leaf by his shoe, my voice dropping to a whisper. I don't like you anymore. It was like he had been bracing for the impact. His dark eyes locked onto mine. His jaw clenched tight, and he let out a hoarse, okay. Tell me what you don't like. I'll change it. Honestly, the boy standing in front of me hadn't changed at all. He was exactly the same brilliant, infuriating, magnetic guy I had spent years of my youth being hopelessly in love with. The only thing that had changed was my own heart. I thought about it for a second, then gave him the only honest answer I had. I think it's just because you're Justin. And because of that, no matter what you do, I'll never be able to love you again. Winter break arrived. Sean and I ended up going on the group trip to Australia and New Zealand. It wasn't until I was sitting next to him on a gondola overlooking Queenstown that everything finally clicked. That night, I apologized and gently turned him down. When I had been hesitating outside my dorm, I genuinely considered just saying yes. Sean made me happy. He took care of me. He would have been flawless. But what could I actually offer him in return? I wasn't in love with him. Dating him just to reap the benefits of his kindness felt incredibly selfish and unfair to him. Sean didn't seem terribly surprised. He just gave me a sad smile and comforted me. It's okay, Taylor. The whole point of dating is that the feelings have to be mutual. On the final day of break, I flew back home. As I walked up to my apartment complex, I saw Justin standing outside. The smell of mint and tobacco clinging to him was heavy. He crushed the half-smoked cigarette under his boot before walking over to me. I came because I just wanted to ask you one last time, he said, his voice ragged. Can I please start over and try to win you back? He let out a dry, broken laugh. Because I just realized, giving up on you hurts like hell. It was the dead of winter, but he was only wearing a thin jacket. His knuckles were pale and purple from the freezing cold. I understood exactly how much pain he was in. Because I had survived that exact same pain when he chose Haley, but I couldn't find an ounce of pity left for him. No. I buried the lower half of my face in my thick wool scarf. Justin, I really don't like it when you constantly hover around my life. It's best if we just never contact each other again. Silence stretched between us for a long time. Finally, he nodded. Okay. His lips parted slightly, like he desperately wanted to say one last thing, but he didn't. He just turned around and walked away into the cold. The next day, my mom casually mentioned that Justin had abruptly transferred to a university in London. It was only then that I realized he had a one-way plane ticket sitting in his pocket the night he came to see me. If I had shown even a single fraction of an inch of hesitation, he would have ripped that ticket up and stayed. Right before his flight took off, my phone buzzed with one final text from him. I was going to say a proper goodbye last night, but I couldn't do it. If we actually say goodbye, it means we're really over. High above the city, a commercial jet broke through the clouds, leaving a long, white contrail streaking across the winter sky. I swiped left on the message, tapped his contact, and hit block. And with that, the very last trace of my decade-long childhood crush was completely, permanently erased from my life.